What's going on, guys? Welcome back to episode 16 of VEVE Investments. I appreciate you guys tuning in. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing different types of applications for VEVE NFTs that I see down the line. If you guys have thought about any applications for these NFTs that I don't cover in the video, make sure to comment it down below. And if you enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe. As for episode 16, let's get on with the episode. So first and foremost, in order to break down and understand how these NFTs could potentially be used in the future, we got to understand, exactly what an NFT is first. So in this case, a non-fungible token, which is what an NFT stands for, they are cryptographic assets on a blockchain with unique identification codes and metadata that distinguish them from each other. So to simplify that, essentially what an NFT does is it represents ownership over a digital asset. And this is going to be done on the blockchain, which is what it was designed to do. So for those who don't know, and this is crucial to understand, the blockchain is a digital ledger. A ledger, it's essentially going to be a collection of accounts whose transactions are all recorded, okay? Now, of course, that transaction is going to represent ownership, depending on what you're buying or selling. The only difference here between a physical ledger and the blockchain is a way of digitizing it all. But at the end of the day, that's what the NFT does. I feel like there's a bit of a misconception in the NFT space where some people think an NFT is like an actual art piece itself. And in this case, an art piece would be a form of an NFT. The NFT itself is the technology behind it and how it allows you to represent ownership over a digital asset, in this case, an art piece like I was just discussing. So first, I thought we could cover a couple of general applications that I see for NFTs just in the overall space. So we're not talking about VEVE specifically in this case, guys, but you will see certain categories listed here that are already on VEVE. So the first one being art, and that's going to be the main application that NFTs have been used for since they kind of took off in 2020. It's definitely provided a lot more opportunity for artists in the art world. And what it's ultimately done is it's helped artists be able to monetize their digital artwork, as opposed to having to still sell physical pieces. Now they can create a piece of artwork on their iPad and mint it on the blockchain and then sell that as a digital artwork. I was actually just watching a video the other day of an artist over in New York who did an unveiling of his collection at a gallery, and essentially what he did was he offered his customers either the physical copy or the NFT, but if they chose the NFT version of it, he would actually burn the physical copy right in front of them. There was actually a fireplace in the art gallery, and he was just opening it up and tossing the physical pieces right in. And his reasoning behind that is because if they choose the NFT version of the artwork, there can't be two, right? So there can't be the physical and the digital version that exist. It can only be one or the other. But the NFT version, in this case that his customers chose, still represents ownership over the physical piece that he just burned. Now, another application is going to be film, short films, movies. I can also see movie trailers being offered as NFTs in the future, being unveiled to the mass public to promote the movie and then offered as an NFT purchase to a select audience afterwards. We're going to have applications for NFTs in the music industry. This is also a very, very big one. For those who don't know, record labels tend to keep a majority of what the artist makes. And in this case, the artist can keep 100% from what's generated. Good example of this is actually going to be Tory Lanez. He was the first major artist, to my knowledge, who dropped an album as an NFT. It might have actually even just been a single, and I can't remember the price that he dropped it at. But for him as an artist, he made millions in minutes from it selling out, and the millions that were generated, he kept it all. Not to mention retaining the full rights to his music in the process and not having to give it up to a record label. Another good example is actually going to be Non-Fungible Wonderful. Shout out to him. Great content. Been watching him since the OG days. But he dropped an album for the VEVE community as an NFT as well. So if you guys haven't checked that out already, I'll leave the link in the description down below. Tickets and experiences are also going to be a really big one for me. Plane tickets, train tickets, festivals, concerts, movie tickets, all of them can be implemented onto the blockchain. Gary Vee's actually already done this for his annual convention. So the tickets for his last convention were offered as NFTs. And if you ended up getting one, you now have lifetime access to that convention moving forward. House mortgages, I see huge potential here. In fact, there was actually a house down in the States, actually multiple, I think at this point, that have actually been sold as NFTs. So a key thing here, guys, is understanding that each NFT is backed with a smart contract. Now, the difference between a smart contract and a physical contract that you would sign when, purchasing a home is the smart contract is going to be digitized and it is going to be live on the blockchain. But just like the physical contract represents your ownership over your home, the smart contract will do the exact same thing. And this is largely going to work the same for car leases. Now, lastly, I put intermediary there. And what I mean by that, guys, is that an NFT allows you to replace the middleman in many situations. So an example of this would be, GoFundMe or Kickstarter. The way that they work is, take GoFundMe, for example, right? You have the fundraiser, somebody who's trying to raise the money. and then you have the people who donate the money to the fundraiser. Now, in this case, when somebody donates the money to the fundraiser, that money is held by GoFundMe until either the fundraising goal is met or not. If the fundraising goal is met, the funds are going to get released to the fundraiser. And if the goal is not met, then the funds are going to be returned to each and every account that they came from. Now, in this case, when you donate to a goal on GoFundMe, you're putting your trust in GoFundMe. Why? Because as soon as you donate to that goal, they're holding your funds. So you need to put your trust in GoFundMe that they're holding your funds securely and they're managing it properly. They're not going to lose it, right? Who's managing on a GoFundMe side? What measures do they have in place to protect my money? So on and so forth, right? But in this case, a smart contract executes automatically. So you have people who will donate to the fundraising goal, and whether the goal is met or not, the smart contract will automatically execute at the end. So if the fundraising goal is met, funds will automatically be transferred to the fundraiser. And if they're not, the funds will be refunded and transferred back to the original accounts, okay? Again, the main difference here is that it's gonna automatically execute. And in this case, it would completely eliminate the need for Kickstarter or GoFundMe. You can simply sell an NFT, the parameters of that smart contract, they can outline the fact that if the fundraising goal is not met, the funds will be returned, and if the fundraising goal is met, the funds will be transferred to the fundraiser. And this would just be one example of how you could implement NFTs to replace the middleman. And now let's hop into some applications I see for VEVE NFTs down the line. So first and foremost, we got interactive collectibles. We already have some of those on the app. DeLorean would be a good example of that. Kit from Knight Rider as well. Those are both going to be drivable in AR. You have animated art. So you got the Rewind Collective pieces and the Pride pieces. From my eyes, there's just many more opportunities that you can, implement into your art pieces now because of the things that digital tools provide. Next, I've thought about augmented reality games. So again, Cavell went over this on his channel, shout out to him, but the lightsabers for augmented reality look like they are going to be coming sometime in the future. Star Wars has already developed a game around this. I saw a video the other day, I'll toss it on screen if I could find it, but these guys actually popped cars onto like a cement block on the side of a street, and they actually spawned in their friends and were playing a little racing game on the cement block. And they were actually also adding things like obstacles and little like reward packs that you would get in Mario Kart and things like that. So I thought that that was really cool. But in terms of the augmented reality gaming side of things, I actually think that this is probably an area where the imagination can't even think as far as it's going to go. And what I mean by that is I feel like the impossible is going to become possible, meaning the things that you didn't even think about or didn't even know were possible are going to be implemented in some way, shape, or form through augmented reality. And I think gaming just has so much potential there. We got augmented reality movies. So Disney has actually already played around with this a little bit. They've had AR related short films, and I also think birthday cards, where if you open them, they actually have characters that will pop out of the card and out of the screen, which is pretty cool. Next, we actually have something that I think about quite often, and this is going to be NFT anchoring. So for those who don't know what this is, it's essentially being able to keep your NFT locked in a specific location. So take a DeLorean, for example, right? If I want to park my DeLorean on the street, then I can anchor it in that specific spot, and anybody who walks by with AR glasses or anything like that will be able to see my DeLorean parked in that spot. Now, of course, there's going to be prerequisites for all of this. I'm assuming probably owning the land that you're anchoring the NFT on. But take the VEVE logo as an example, being able to anchor that on the front lawn of your home so that anybody who walks by sees the logo as a form of free promo for the business, or, a little flex for those saying, hey, I'm a VEVE OG. Next, I thought about comic pop-outs and animations, so similar to that of the augmented reality movies I was just talking about with Disney, being able to open the comics and have certain animations or visuals from those comics popping out of the actual book. And I'm actually going to be making a video on this, comparing collectibles versus comics on VEVE. I do think that this is probably the next step for comics, animating them and having them pop out in AR and things like that. But my biggest question here also is how much further can they go with that, and how much more can they actually offer with comics? Comment down below some of your thoughts there. Next is going to be something I've talked about a lot on the channel, actually, and that's going to be renting out the collectibles. So I've actually had some people ask me, why would somebody want to rent out a collectible? And at the end of the day, going back up to the NFT anchoring, that would be a fantastic example right there. I know some people might not necessarily see it right now, but at the end of the day, owning these NFTs and putting them as your profile photos and things like that, it's just a flex because there is no other utility behind them yet. You know, even down the line when we got some articles coming out promoting VeVe, saying that, you know, these collectibles are selling for X amount of dollars in the bull run and this and that, I will not be surprised when some of the pieces on VeVe start to become very, very notable. And when that starts to happen, it would not surprise me if even a businessman who's running a corporate meeting wants to get a high valued grail just to anchor it inside of his, you know, conference room for any business meetings that he has. Birthday parties, a parent, right, renting out an NFT and anchoring it in the room for their daughter or son, right? The Marvel Mighties. Imagine a little room of 12 and 13-year-old kids running around playing with, you know, a dozen Marvel Mighties that are augmented into their room. I even saw a post several weeks back from My Collectible, shout out to him, great content. He was talking about how, you know, he was messing around with his collectibles in AR and how there was a big giant park across the street and how he wished he could rent a T-Rex just to put it across the street and blow it up so he can take a photo. It might sound crazy to some people, but there's a market there for others. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters, is if somebody's there to buy or not. And then the last point I have on here is going to be exclusive events and airdrops. So I've mentioned this in the past as well. We got the Joanchi Pride airdrop coming up real soon. I keep checking my phone every day for that. But also, speaking of Pride, Amar Singh has also talked about exclusive events for Pride holders down the line. Now, exclusive events are nothing new in the NFT space, and that's because the NFT can act as a raffle ticket itself. If you own the NFT, you qualify for this, right? Couple examples, Rolling Loud. So they were just discussing how they're going to be offering a Rolling Loud NFT, and if you get access to this NFT, it gives you lifetime access to any of their concerts. You have the Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? There's a restaurant over in, I think it's California, where you actually have to own a Bored Ape in order to get into the restaurant, sit down and eat. And then also going back to the Gary Vee example, right, with his convention, he used the actual ticket as an NFT, and then anybody who purchased a ticket now has lifetime access to that convention. So all in all, guys, those are some applications that I've thought about for VEVE NFTs down the line. If there's any that you've thought about that I actually missed in this video, make sure to comment them down below. I'd be super interested. And if you enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe. As for next week, I got some interesting content I'm working on in the back end here. So if you guys are intrigued and want to learn more, make sure to tune in on Tuesday. We'll see you then.